Alright, so let's talk about flanking in Valorant. Now, in Valorant, unlike other games, flanking can be very high risk, high reward, and it's honestly very hard to flank in Valorant. You are essentially, for an example, let's say you're playing Split, which is what's in the background right here. You have one person B, one person Heaven, one person mid, and then one person Heaven on A, and then one person, I don't know, screens on A side. Now, if you flank out of A or flank out of B, you are giving the attackers more room to be able to push quicker. And when you're flanking, you almost have to be a duelist, right? A controller can as well. An Omen could work. But in my opinion, Phoenix, Jet, agents like that, they are more suited for flanking. I play a lot of Phoenix, so when I do flank, it's usually with Phoenix. But when you flank, you have to be extremely careful in this game. And you have to know when to flank and when not to flank. So if you're watching this gameplay in the background, this was a game that we played on Split, and there were about 3 or 4 different rounds that I flanked. Now, every single one of those rounds, I at least got 1 kill off the flank. However, the second round that I did it immediately after flanking the round before. And they had 2 people watching for that flank. I killed one of them. The other one killed me. It was a trade. I can't remember who I killed. I think it was a Brimstone. So a Brimstone for a Phoenix. That's not a bad trade by any means. And if you are a duelist and you're able to take out someone like a Brimstone or a Sage, somebody who's really important on that offense, it can be very powerful. And a well worth it for the trade. But when you flank, there's a couple of things you need to know. Number one, you need to pay attention to the way that the other team is playing. You have to observe how they are playing their offensive setup. If they are 5 stacking a site and just pushing in really aggressive, then you need to flank quickly, right? Especially big maps like say Haven for instance. Well, if they are 5 stacking C and you're trying to flank from A, you need to be pretty damn quick because they can get into C and plant, and you could, by the time you actually slow walk your way to C, they will have already planted and set up for their defense, so it completely worthless, and you would have been better off just sitting in sight. So if they're fast 5 stack pushing a site, you will want to flank quickly. Now, if they are really spread out like they should be, at least at a high tier of play, unless there's an exact strat, there are certain strats that involve stacking people on a site, but for the most part, especially in competitive, you should be spreading yourself out on offense. All of the different choke points at the beginning of the round, you should have somebody in those general areas. And when you're pushing, let's say on this map, if you're pushing mid into B, you have some people B, you have some people mid. Well, you're going to have somebody watching the flank, or you're going to have a Cypher cam watching the flank. This team that I was playing against, this was a competitive match, and they didn't have a Cypher. That royally fucked them over. That's something to think about when you're thinking about whether you should flank or not. Do they have a Cypher? Because Cypher in and of himself can really hurt a flank. And you can still flank even if they have a Cypher, but you have to be very careful and slow walk and pay attention to where those tripwires are. And then as long as nobody's around, pull out your knife and knife it. Because it's going to make a lot less noise than actually shooting it and keep you concealed. Now, if you can duck under it, if it's placed incorrectly, you can duck under it. That's even better. Jumping over it makes noise, obviously, anytime you jump. But one thing that made flanking really easy in this game is I kept flanking from sewers. And sewers is a great flank because sewers is extremely loud. And people expect to hear you in showers. In sewers. They expect to be able to hear you. and it worked really well because my team was playing it correctly, and they were slowing them down in mid. They were trying really hard to push mid and B, and I was able to just slow walk through sewers while our Sage walled mid, and they had people sitting there waiting. I got a little lucky right there that he missed his shot, and then I got the quick turnaround on the Brimstone. But you'll see in this very next round what I was talking about. I go to flank, and they have 2 people already waiting, watching sewers. And
grab an orb.
You know, it's kind of like a mind games thing. You know, now I'm taking their.
You're alone this time, Dubsy.
I'm taking all of their thought process off of pushing mid, and all of a sudden they have 2 people just staring down sewers. They didn't hear me. I didn't make any noise. They just they're scared.
Yeah, 1, 2 mid.
And so that's why flanking can really help out your team, and you can get a lot out of it.
Play A again?
But you don't want to get over aggressive on it. You almost always want to be shift walking. If you make any noise, all of a sudden your flank is useless because it's too easy for them to just turn around and kill you.
Unless you're gonna
I got it.
There are some great routes to flank. One of them, again, it depends on if they have people watching the flank. On this map, as you see, I like to go hold A side if they're not pushing it, flank through sewers into mid. If I'm playing bind, I like to play hookah, and then instead of going through market, go through their spawn over to showers. Now it's a very slow flank.
There's one more up mid yet.
But they don't expect anybody to kill them shower side.
This guy was up mid.
Because
last one's in mid.
You know, most people would think, well, if somebody's going to be shower side, that they would hear the TP. And if people are watching the flank, they're usually watching it through market, so you can get a very nice flank there. Haven's a little harder to flank on, in my personal opinion, though when I do have success, it's usually I like to play garage. And if they don't have anybody in mid, which is rare, I will flash out of garage into mid to make sure that nobody's lurking around. And assuming that nobody gets flashed, I immediately, if it looks like they're pushing A, will jump into window or will push into C. But in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just some little things to think about when it comes to actually getting those flanks down and helping your team out, because flanking can really screw your team over if you're not careful. Like I said, you have one less person in sight holding down those pushes and slowing down the enemy team, which in a game like Valorant, time is of the essence. But in any case, like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate it if you leave a like, comment, subscribe. I hate saying it, but I do.
That was the most casual ace I've ever seen.
Take it easy, guys.
Really bad.
You have 8.